the need to fit in is fundamental to us all in some ways. You know, no man is an island. But actually, we all, in our own being, can feel alone. It's that duality of going, yes, I want to fit in, but yes, I sit alone in my own skin, alone, with desires that are separate to everybody else. So it's acceptance of the individual being an individual as well. We can't fully fit in. It's not fitting in is a desire, but actually acceptance of who we are as an individual in our own skin, where we sit. If we can get to that place of comfort, then actually our desire to fit in will actually help us become a community, because we have a community of individuals who work together. I remember the desire to be an individual. I had a desire to be different. I had a desire to express myself in my own particular way. I think it came from many places. It's who I am, so it's fundamental to me. It was also, it was never squashed in my family. My parents always supported me going, this is you, okay? You know, I had boundaries, I had natural and good boundaries around me, but there was always, Jonathan, this is you, you are unique, and an acceptance of that uniqueness. And my parents weren't frightened of that, you know. And I think with regards to Jamie's dad, I think fear is the very core of where he's at, you know. He's frightened of what other people think about him. He's probably also, as a parent, on some fundamental level, frightened of Jamie going into the world and expressing himself as an individual and getting squashed and getting hurt. Fear is fundamental to hate. And we talk about hate in terms of hate crimes, hate words, all those things. I think fear is very fundamental of it. And the opposing force, I think, of that really is joy. And when we find joy and gratitude of how we sit in the world and acceptance of who we are in the world, that starts to overcome fear. And then when we all start to overcome fear, then that we can grow. We can really grow quite confidently to go, I accept who I am with my faults, with everything I know. We have faults within ourselves, we have complexes within ourselves, but fundamentally, I am grateful and I find joy in being me. I think it's about connection, really. I think Jamie really goes on a journey in that respect. He wants to be out there, you know. And in some ways his behaviour gets exaggerated because the journey of the story takes him to an acceptance of the simple thing as well. He arrives at school not as a drag queen. He arrives at school in a very simple dress and says, this is me, I'm a boy in a dress. He still arrives within his need to express himself at a fundamental place of modesty and humility, you know. And that's also important to our makeup, you know. The need to kind of be out there for being out there's sake can actually cause us to go on a journey of not being, again, authentic to ourselves, you know. The being different for being different's sake is a place that takes us away from ourselves, you know. We're all unique, we're all special, you know. And Pretty wears a hijab because she says it keeps her modest, it keeps her simple. In some ways, it keeps her in her own space. But her desire is to be a doctor. Her desire is to heal people. Her desire is to make a difference. She may not want to be out there, as she says, swinging a stethoscope, but she wants to make a difference. And it's about taking your place in the world. It's not necessarily about standing out of that, but accepting we all have a place, we all have something to contribute, and people have different things to contribute. But it is about, in some way, standing out, standing up to be who you are. And that's for all of us. In terms of language, in particular to gender, language is fundamental to who we are, you know, and then language develops and language changes, you know. So, you know, the word gay arriving to express to be homosexual is an arrival of a piece of language to express something, you know, and it's how that language, that word is then claimed and go, oh, this is who I am. I'm a gay man, I'm a gay woman, you know. Words like queer, you know. Also, again, somehow it can start off to be derogatory, you know, to put people on the outside. The queer community have gone, okay, I'm going to claim the word, you know, I'm going to claim the word and go, yes, I'm queer, I'm different. Different is okay, you know. Different is different. It's fundamental to who I am, that I don't see myself fitting in the mold that everybody else seems to fit in. I think it's fundamental that teachers use language in the right way, or start to really just talk about language. And Jamie, when Dean, a kid at school who uses this kind of language, you know, says he's gay in the most derogatory way, what Jamie does to Dee, he says, yeah, I am gay. And if I call me gay, then being gay is okay. I imagine for teachers, it's also a complex time to go, I'm not quite catching up with how young people are kind of exploring those things. So really, I think young people at this moment in time are leading the way in terms of what language they want to use and explore. And I think teachers are probably going to have to be catching up and actually asking the kids, young people themselves, to go, okay, talk to us. How do you want language to be used? How do you want to explore language, you know? So I think language is fundamental to how we teach each other. Gillespie Sells, the composer, and Tom MacRae, the writer, and myself went into schools in Sheffield, you know. And we went into quite a few schools. Some working class schools from the estate that the piece is set from, and another school from a more affluent part of the city, and actually how people were negotiating the issue of, you know, we basically took our story and said, what would happen in this school if a young 16-year-old said, I want to go to school prom their dress. A young 16-year-old boy said, I want to go to school prom their dress. And some of the schools took a breath, you know, particularly some of the boys, you know, and we took a little coaxing of actually, let's talk about this really. And of course, the awkwardness of, oh, is he gay, is he not gay? All those questions started to come out. But actually, as people started to relax, it became apparent that, you know, these 16-year-olds were in a very different conversation to 16-year-olds when I was at school. They were able to actually have a language of exploring and understanding, you know. And actually, in the other school we went into, they were in a place that they said, well, actually, we'd make him prom queen, probably. And actually, in our school, we have gender-neutral toilets already. So even the school was exploring those things. So I think it's what we found out is that what we were exploring was current to them. We, you know, written our story, and then we went into schools to kind of explore whether we were relevant, you know, and clearly what was happening with our story was happening in schools. The environment is the important thing, that you create an environment in which young people feel the ability to reach out, you know, because if they don't feel the environment is safe, then that's fundamental to them reaching out, I think. And if then the young people do feel the need to find an adult to confide in, to help them through a certain situation, maybe a situation at home, maybe a situation at school, if they feel that they aren't going to be judged, you know, and they are safe, so I think the environment tells them that, then that doesn't necessarily have to occur in schools either. That can occur in youth groups, or within families or extended families, you know. But I think having somebody sometimes just outside a family setting that you can just go and test the water, confide, is fundamentally important to young people.